Hi readers, it's Lori. Welcome back to my channel, Books, Ink, and Paper, or welcome if this is your first time. Today I'm going to try for the second time to present to you the June anticipated reads that I have selected on my list. There's lots of content creators here on BookTube that will share lots of books as well, but this month I'm going to keep it to 10 because I kind of went overboard last month and then I get overwhelmed and maybe you do too. But there's some great books. This summer is a great blockbuster month for reading, and I have a couple that I'm probably going to buy. And then I have a couple that I will probably read and maybe borrow. And then some I'm not sure about, but they're enough to bring them forward, and I'll probably get to them at some point. So let's get started, shall we? So the first one is Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This is an author I have read before. I read The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. In fact, that was my book club book last night that I didn't get to go to, but I really loved that book. And I read another one by her too that I can't think of the name of now, but good writer, solid writing, usually romance, and I think this one is no different. Joan is a physics and astronomy professor at Rice University, and it says she has a precocious niece named Frances. I'm not sure why Frances plays into the synopsis, but it must be important, so I'm bringing that forward to you. And she comes across an option for her to be one of the first women scientists to join NASA's space shuttle program. This is set in the 1980s, so it's historical fiction. Hard for me to believe sometimes because I have some kids that were born in the 80s, but nevertheless, it is. She's chosen from a pool of hundreds and thousands of astronauts to be on this space shuttle program, and she's there with a number of other people, John, Hank, Vanessa, maybe. I can't remember all their names. Donna. Anyway, there's a bunch of them. You know, there's a crew. There's some other women and a couple of men too. And they're going to be on this space shuttle mission. So they're probably going to become good friends, hopefully, maybe more than that. You know, it's Taylor Jenkins Reid, so it's probably romantic for sure. It's contemporary, it says, but really it's historical too. So maybe there's two timelines. But nevertheless, something happens on their mission, and I don't know what it is, but it says everything changes for them in an instant. So it sounds like a bit of a thriller as well as typical Taylor Jenkins Reid, but I definitely think I will read this. I don't know that I'll buy it, but I do think that it's a book that I would be interested in because I grew up loving the space shuttle programs and loving everything about space and NASA, so it's right up my street as well, but yeah, I'm trying to cut down on the books that I'm buying, so there's that too. All right, The Listeners by Maggie Stiefvater. This is a new author to me for sure, should I choose to read it, which I think I will. This is a 3.99. It also comes out on June 3rd. This is about Joan Hudson, who is a manager at a hotel owned by the Guilfoyles. And the Guilfoyles are aristocrats, but they make a secret deal with the State Department to house captured Axis diplomats that are essentially were Nazis and probably still are Nazis, and that she's supposed to take care of these guests with a smile and, you know, with all the service that she would give any guest. But meanwhile, there's an FBI agent named Tucker, and he's also staying at the hotel, and he's listening to the conversations that the Axis diplomats are having through the walls. Yeah, so this sounds really good. Mystery, magical realism, it says. Adult, thriller, historical fiction, fantasy. I don't know how it's fantasy and magical realism, but I mean, maybe the listening part, but it sounds fun and it's a great cover. So I'm going to probably get to that one at some point in my life. The Ghostwriter, also coming out on June 3rd, has a 4.24 rating, and this is by Julie Clark. I have read The Last Flight by this author, and I have not read The Lies We Tell. It's still on my shelves, but this one is about ghostwriter Olivia Dumont, who is really struggling with the fact that she's, needing some money. But she's also the only daughter of an author named Vincent Taylor, and Vincent Taylor has died, but he was a horror author, and he also was the prime suspect in a murder of one of his siblings. So he has this history around him, and so he's left her, after he dies, a book that he started to read, write his last book, but she's going to go ahead and ghostwrite it and try to get it published to make some money. But in the meantime, she finds out a lot of stuff about her family that she didn't know. And I love this cover. This is interesting because I have another book I'm going to talk about that has a fire kind of thing on it, but it sounds really good. And again, the fact that it's billed as horror but also mystery thriller probably works really well for me. And I like Julie Clark as an author. Okay, this one is a little dark. Some of these are really dark today, I gotta be honest. This one is called Dear Future Me by Deborah O'Connor. And it's also, there's a lot of thriller mysteries on this list because I'm really in the mood for that this month for sure. But this one is about a teacher. In 2003, he gives an assignment to his high school students that they are supposed to write a letter to their future selves. And so they do. And then I guess in the future, when that time frame that he created comes up, he sends all of those letters out to these now adult people. But what happens is that one of them, Miranda, receives her letter and she ends up taking her own life. Yes, very, very dark. So definitely some sensitivity warnings on this one. But then Ashley, one of the other students, calls them all together so that they can, I guess, sort of, grieve over the loss of their friend, but also perhaps, try to understand what made her do that. And it says a chain of events is then set off that will expose some secrets. It sounds thrillery and mystery based, but also, yeah, very, very difficult. Deborah O'Connor is definitely a new author to me. I have never read anything by her, and I don't know that I've ever heard of anything by her, but this one stood out to me as a premise that really sounded like something I would like. I hate to say that because of the darkness of it, but this is also coming out on June 3rd. Still in the space of darkness, the next one is King of Ashes by S.A. Cosby, which comes out on June 10th. This has a 4.55 rating on Goodreads. I really like S.A. Cosby. I just finished one not long ago by this author. They're always very dark, very violent, very difficult topics, and this one is no different. It's thriller, mystery as well, crime, adult, tricky. So this is a Godfather-inspired crime epic, which, I would say yes to because I really enjoyed The Godfather and some of the books that are a lot like that. So this is about Roman Carruthers, who returns home because his father has a car accident and he's killed. And he finds out that his younger brother, Dante, has been in some really risky, tricky business, and his sister Nevia is trying to keep the family business open, which is actually a crematorium. Also appeals to me because my family had a history of owning businesses that were funeral homes. He comes home and he discovers that a lot of bad stuff is happening. This is also set in Virginia. A lot of his books are set in that same area, I think. He starts looking at the books and he finds out that they have some relationships with some pretty shady people. And so he's got to try to stand up to this, but also there's gangsters out there that are trying to get their money and they're trying to do what they do, to get their way. And so he has to try to uncover some past stuff and then also try to figure out what happened to his mother, apparently, when they were younger. And he's willing to do anything to save his family, which is usually what happens with S.A. Cosby. There's some sort of I gotta fix this sort of situation with one of the main characters. But the synopsis, the last statement says, because everything burns. So I can't wait. I'm going to probably read this one very quickly, but love S.A. Cosby. I really do. All right. June 10th is also A Most Puzzling Murder by Bianca Murray. This is, or Murray. This is an author that I've almost read before, but didn't get to, but this one's very unique. So it is a mystery and it says it's a thriller, but it has a tip to it. So bear with me. 4.11 ratings. How do you solve a murder that hasn't happened yet is the premise of this. So Destiny Whip has been really intelligent. She's an entomologist. She's been working in that field for a long, long time, and she's very reclusive. And she receives an interview for a position from the Scruffmore family. She's not solicited any job with the Scruffmore family, so she doesn't understand what's happening, but she's, I guess, says yes because she ends up being hired by the Scruffmore family to take note of their history, their family history, and to really kind of lay that out for them so that they can understand what's happened to their ancestors. But the Scruffmores are not great people. They are in the midst of some really weird stuff, but also Destiny was an orphan. So she was adopted by somebody else, and they have information about her family somehow. So then she ends up really confused. She's in this place where they put her in a castle or a big house. They're kind of shady people. She's also having nightmares and visions and all kinds of stuff. And she discovers that somebody's going to die. And she has to stop this murder. So she begins to try to do that based on this premonition that she's had. And you, the reader, have to solve the mystery. So there's puzzles and riddles that you're solving as you're reading it, which is what really enticed me to take a look at it and present it to you today. It's unique, even though it's a thriller. It's also billed as a cozy mystery. So, I've been kind of loving those lately. And it seemed like a great choice. So again, I think that I will get to this one too at some point. I know there's too many books, not enough time. And then next on June 10th is The River is Waiting by Wally Lamb, which I mentioned a few months ago, I think, because I was doing a Throwback Thursday about Wally Lamb, and I really have enjoyed this author a lot. This one is also pretty dark. His books often are. So this is about Corby Ledbetter, who's not doing well. He's not a great father. He's lost his job. He's borrowed a bunch of money, and his wife Emily is done with all of this. And then he causes a tragedy that tears his family apart, and he's incarcerated. When he gets to prison, obviously he's struggling with the fact that there are, kind of nasty, shady people who are really violent and want to harm him. But he also meets some other people in the prison that he becomes friends with, and, he really develops a relationship with. So he's really just kind of trying to live out this life in this jail and try probably to repair the things that he's destroyed as a result of what he's done. So the question is, can mercy and reconciliation be possible for him? And can the people that he loves ever forgive him for what he's done? A lot of Wally Lamb's books are very similar, very dark, twisted, morally ambiguous or morally gray or morally black characters. He's a great author. Typically, there's only been one that I didn't love as much, but again, that might have been me at the time. So I've been anticipating this one for a while. And I think I said, but it has a 4.32 rating. Pretty good. Then we have With a Vengeance by Riley Sager. Comes out June 10th as well. I am a big fan of Riley Sager, so I have a number of his books. I think I have all of them except for this one on my shelves. Have not read all of them yet. I still need to read The Middle of the Night. But Riley Sager is a solid author for me. I've always enjoyed his books, some more than others, but this one is very, very interesting. So this is about something that happened in 1942 to a young girl whose name is Anna Matheson. And Anna Matheson's family is destroyed in 1942. And I guess she knows who did that. So she then, 12 years later, sets up this luxury train trip from Philadelphia to Chicago with these people that she's pretty sure are involved in what happened to her family, and she's going to get them to confess on this train. But then something happens on the train, somebody is killed, and then the question is, who did that, and is she in danger? And it sounds like a really good thriller mystery. It's historical fiction because it has a sense of stepping back into the 1942 place, I guess. It is billed as horror, which most of Riley Sager's books are, so I'd love it to be really creepy. One train, no stops, a deadly game of survival and revenge is the, quick synopsis of this, but it sounds really great. It's good cover too. I love books that are kind of, and then there were none, closed circle stuff, that I do. Didn't have to tell you that, but her life is at risk now because she's gone ahead and brought these people all together. They're clearly not nice people. On June 17th, The Stolen Life of Colette Marceau by Kristen Hamill comes out. And I actually had an arc of this one. I mentioned it as I hauled that, and I have finished this one. So again, it comes out on June 17th. I'm going to do a different review of it later. I'm only going to say that this is historical fiction dual timeline about Colette Marceau, whose mother was a jewel thief. She was also trained to be a jewel thief by her mother. The first timeline starts in war-torn Paris, and so you go back to when she was young with her sister and her family and what happens then. And then you go forward to her current day situation where she finds a piece of jewelry that has a meaning to her from her childhood. That's all I'm going to say right now, but I'm going to give you a good review of it when I do my reading wrap up. But it does, again, come out on June 17th, and so I wanted you to know about it. I've never read anything by Kristen Harmel before, but I really did enjoy this a lot. It was good. It was good. And the last one is Julie Tutor is Not a Psychopath by Jennifer Holditch. Jennifer Holditch is a new author to me, but I think she has another book coming out next year. So it may be another one that's similar to this. I don't know. Has a 3.77 rating, comes out on June 24th. Doesn't have a lot of ratings at this point, but this one got me because, so Julie is 49. She works in an office. She's just your typical kind of organized girl. She has a beautiful home that a lot of people wonder how she got the money for, and she has the man of her dreams, who is 25. So a little bit of an age gap there. But Sean, the man of her dreams, suddenly falls in love with some other woman. So the synopsis says Julie Tudor is not a stalker. Julie Tudor is definitely not a serial killer. And what's a little murder after all in the name of true love? So obviously Julie is going to try to do something to Sean or to the girl that he's with. So we'll see what happens. I would like to get to this. I probably won't purchase it, but I do think this would be a good kind of palate cleanser, possibly. It's suspenseful, not cozy, probably a little bit gruesome, but yeah, it sounds great. All right, readers, thanks for watching. Thanks for all of your support of me over this time that we've been together. Those of you who are new, I'd love to hear more about you. And for all of you, I'd love to hear which one of these books really seems to be something that you will pick up, and any authors that you've already read, let me know about them as well. If you don't want to make a comment, just put an emoji in the comments that you think kind of aligns with these little synopses, so you could put whatever suits you in the comments below. If you want to give this video a thumbs up, that would be great. If you haven't subscribed already, I would love it if you would. And I will be back in July with the next round of most anticipated reads. As always, happy reading. Bye.